I'm on a journey across Northern Ireland, a majestic and beautiful land at the edge of Western Europe. A place that's so near, right on our doorstep, and yet I've never explored it fully. My journey will take me right across Northern Ireland. I'll be visiting the famous walled city of Derry, the Northern Ireland's oldest distillery, Bushmills, walking along the 60-million-year-old Giant's Causeway and hiking into the spectacular Mountains of Mourne. I'll be discovering the history of the famous ship Titanic in Belfast and enjoying some great food as I continue my journey across Northern Ireland. I'm starting off my journey in Derry, or as some would call it, Londonderry, where I was off to meet local tour guide Garvin Kerr. And today we're in the beautiful walled city of legend Derry, and we have one of the city's legendary figures with us today, Garvin Kerr.
Ed, you're
Garvin,
very welcome.
How are you doing?
I am fine today, and a beautiful day today. It's great.
Wonderful.
Yes,
and listen, there's the most amazing feeling, Garvin, of youthful optimism here when you come into the beautiful city of Derry. Can you tell us a little bit about the city?
The most fantastic thing, obviously, being the great historical city, as we did say, and like a little, I call it the gem of the north, basically because we have the old history, we have the new history, modern day political history as well, and for someone like myself to live through, the troubled times and now see the light at the tunnel, as we say at the other end of the tunnel, and there's a great air of optimism about the city at the moment. We're the only complete walled city in Ireland, of course, which is a magnet for people, and one of the only complete walled cities in Europe. It's bringing people to the city, it's bringing the economy to the people. They walk the walls themselves, 400 years old, 1613 to 1618. It took 5 years to build these walls, a very rapid construction of the time. But not only that, the walls themselves, anyone who died, by the way, during the building of these walls, there are a few bodies inside the walls, Ed, so just be careful where you're walking.
So we're standing here watching hundreds of years of history, Garvin, sculpted on the beautiful bridge behind us, the hands across the divide. And what really strikes you here as well is the number of young people that you see everywhere and the vibrancy about the city. It's really, really come on from my last visit here a few years ago.
As we talked on our last visit, and you were on tour with me at that time also, Ed, but the vibrance of the young people in the city too, this is a great thing, that when young people take pride in your city, then you've got less antisocial behaviour, you've got less. And I have to say now that the city has really pulled itself up with the liveliness at the weekends here and some of the great pubs and bars we have here now at the moment. But you can walk the walls and step off the walls the whole way around at different locations and different scenes they see. But also what we must stress, that the walls of the city are totally palatable. To be honest with you, I experience this every day on our tours. We have people from all over the world, but especially people from the Republic of Ireland. And just last year I had a lovely group from Wicklow of elderly people, and it was their first time in Derry. Some of them were actually crying. And they say, "Oh, I'm so ashamed, I'm Irish, I haven't been here." And not only that, I didn't hold this against people. This was not the place to be 40 years ago. But now it is. Now we're here to tell our story, and we need our visitors to come so we can tell our story. And let me tell you, every single visitor that comes to this city don't really appreciate how much that we appreciate them coming here.
We headed off to meet Miss Universe Ireland, Joanna Cooper, who's a daughter of the famous city of Derry.
Well, there's a lot going on in Derry at the minute, especially with the likes of Fashion Fest. We have our own kind of like a small fashion week where events take place over a weekend, and so if you came up to that, it's brilliant. It's a great weekend. And then we have Waterloo Street. That's where all the Irish bars are, and that's always lively. You'll always get people in there. So it's a good nightlife.
Brilliant. And of course Edmonton Square, I mean that's bigger than Trafalgar Square, I heard. It's amazing.
It's beautiful, it's really, really nice. And we've attracted MTV Crashes, and we had Radio 1's Big Weekend, so there's a lot going on. people can have their own ideas of Derry before they come here, and it's only when they're here that they get to develop their own idea about it. And usually people go away saying it's absolutely beautiful. After the Fla especially, there was thousands of people all over the city the full week, from both sides of the water. Everyone joined together, and it was amazing. So I think you need to come and experience it.
And I see, I mean, the vibrancy, and there's a real youthful optimism here in the city, isn't there?
Especially after being voted City of Culture. The town everyone got together, and it took off. Like, as you see going down the quay and over in Ebrington, it's absolutely beautiful. And it's a small city too, so you can walk about and take it all in without tiring yourself out.
I decided to take the train from Derry to Coleraine. Michael Palin once described this as one of the most beautiful rail journeys in the world. Just a short trip from Coleraine is the beautiful golf course Royal Portrush. This is every golfer's dream. I went off to meet Graham Beat, the course manager. Can you tell us a little bit about the club and the history?
Well, the club was founded in 1888. It hosted the Open Championship in 1951, and I think it's a great setting for a championship like that. The golf course itself is fantastic, and the views are just amazing.
It's good value actually, because you have the two courses, and there's obviously a different fee structure on both courses.
Well, that's right. I think we cater for everybody. We've got two courses, plus we've got a short 9-hole course, which a lot of the people coming here for a weekend will just go around and play. The Valley course, I think, is affordable for everyone, and obviously done loose. It's maybe a once in a lifetime, but I think it's definitely worth the green fee as well.
I headed off to the lovely town of Bushmills, just a few miles away from Royal Portrush, where I went to meet the famous master distiller Colm Egan. Colm, it's lovely to meet you.
Well, welcome to the distillery. It's great for coming in.
You're
absolutely
so
fantastic.
Very excited.
Now, anything you see in here is just between you and me, because this is where we hold all the secrets of Bushmills, okay?
Well, I'm sworn to secrecy.
Yeah.
And I'm here with the master distiller, Colm Egan. Colm, you're very welcome. How are you doing?
Well, thanks for coming along. Yeah, it's great. We have amazingly been making whiskey in this area since over 400 years, since 1608. We got our first license to distill in April 20th. So what you see in front of you here today hasn't just happened the last day or two. All of the secrets, I suppose, have been handed down from master distiller to master distiller. So I suppose I'm very proud to be in possession of how to make this great smooth whiskey at the moment.
They say, Colm, that God made whiskey to keep the Irish from ruling the world. Is that true?
Well, I think when you get the smoothness of Bushmills, I think it offers something different. The great thing about whiskey is we really only have two ingredients. So we've water and we have barley. And one of the reasons that Bushmills Distillery has been sited here for all these years is we've a wonderful spring, wonderful water source that rises just the other side of this building. And I suppose one of our big secrets is that we distill it 3 times. And when you distill something 3 times, you get this wonderful smoothness with a lovely fruity, aromatic character to it also.
And what's the experience like, Colm, when you come here then? When you come up and you pay your entrance and all that, what do you actually get to do and see when you come up?
You get a big Irish welcome, a big hello, thanks for coming along, and you get a whole sense of tradition. We're set in wonderful countryside. The Giant's Causeway is only 3 miles away. We have Royal Portrush, which is going to have the British Open in a few years' time. And stuck in the middle of that is the distillery itself, and it's a lovely rolling green countryside. I'm always fascinated with that bottle of Bushmills. If I'm ever in Chile or China or North America, that bottle will have come from here. One of the best parts of my day is to go into the bar at the end of the tour. So we welcome over 100,000 visitors every year. But to go in at the end of the tour and see these people, and some of them have never tried whiskey before, to have a little nose, have a little taste, and it actually brings joy and happiness to see how great the whiskey is. And it's not just here at the distillery. The distillery is really at the heart of the local community. the local communities, the village of Bushmills. I think when you're on the Causeway with a nice glass of Bushmills as the sun rises, you literally, nothing has changed there in thousands of years. There's nothing man-made to be seen anywhere, so it is nature at its best. Right, so there are tall ships, there are long ships, there are ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are friendships, and may they always be. So.
Wonderful.
All right.
Just a short journey along the coast is the famous Giant's Causeway, over 60 million years old. I went to meet Neville McConaughey, the Visitor Centre guide, to tell me all about this amazing place. Neville, it's great to meet you today.
Nice to meet you as well.
Wonderful to be here. Can you tell us, Neville, all about this wonderful UNESCO World Heritage Site?
The geologists tell us it was formed about 60 to 65 million years ago. They tell us that the Giant's Causeway itself was a river valley, and that the lava poured into the valley until it was 100 metres deep and 1200 degrees Celsius. Locals here will tell you something different. Locals here will tell you that it was actually built by a giant called Finn McCool. He was 54 feet tall, and we have proof of that because he's left us his boot, and his boot is on the site. And when we're down here today, I'm going to point it out to you. It's a size 93.5. And it's not rocket science. When you're a size 93.5, you're 54 feet tall. And that's what local people will tell you. There's lots of stories go with the area. The guides tell you all about the history, the myths, the legends, about the geology, and also one of the main factors of really the National Trust. It's the largest conservation charity in Europe. Donard was a Dublin lady, and several things brought her to the Causeway. Letters from different people, the Bishop of Derry and other things, and then the Bishop of Derry and a Cambridge scholar, they actually produced a journal. That journal went to Trinity College in Dublin, and 100 years after it arrived there, Susanna Drury read that journal in 1739, and it just intrigued her to come to the North Antrim coast, and she came to the Giant's Causeway. Now, when she came here, she spent several weeks, and over them several weeks, she'd done several paintings. And the paintings were took back to Dublin. This was, by this time, 1740. And they eventually reached a competition, and she won the competition. When she won the competition, the paintings were then sent to London to a French engraver, and they were copied and put into postcard size. And it's something that we don't see much of nowadays, but they were circulated throughout Europe. And people were coming here, and I believe that them paintings that Susanna Drury done were a big part of that. The paintings went to America. Eventually they were sold and went to America. But lately they were bestowed back to the National Trust, because the National Trust are the custodians of this site. And they were bestowed back to us, and we now have them in Spring Hill House. And if you do get the chance, go and look at that. It's absolutely amazing.
On the way south, we visited Ballymoney and the famous dark hedges, made famous by the TV series Game of Thrones. This morning, I'm going to be visiting the lovely towns of Newcastle and Dundrum along the Mourne coast. And then I'm off to hike into the famous Mountains of Mourne with tour guide Peter Caffrey from Walk the Mournes. But first I was off to visit the historic Dundrum Castle, where I met local fisherman and founder of Kilmegan Cider, Andrew Boyd. Andrew, lovely to meet you today. How does a local fisherman go to become an award-winning cider producer?
Well, I suppose growing up in such a beautiful area and the seaside beside us, I left school at 16 and became a local trawlerman in the port of Kilkeel, which is just round the bay. And then, after years of being a landscape contractor, I decided to use the apples that was in my father's old orchard to produce cider. After a while, I suddenly realised that the style of cider that I was producing, and a pure juice cider, that we started to suddenly win awards. Well, we're lucky that we have some fantastic restaurants in the area. And not only does the area have fantastic restaurants, we have Murlock Beach, we have Tullymore Forest Park, we have the fantastic, majestic Moor Mountains to walk through. So any visitor coming from the south to visit us here will find an array of things to do to fill their day.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Peter Caffrey from Walk the Mournes is an expert tour guide and knows the area like the back of his hand. Peter, lovely to meet you. This is an amazing day, huh?
Oh, fantastic, yeah. A wee bit of snow in the tops would make it all the difference too.
Unbelievable. I've always wanted to walk along the beautiful Mountains of Mourne. We've all heard about them sweeping down to the sea.
Yes.
And I can't wait to do this walk with you today. How many miles?
We're going to walk about 5 miles today.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
You fit for it?
I'm ready, come on.
Good man. As you can see, the beautiful Mourne that's in front of us here, that's Slieve Donard in the distance, just picking up above a wee bit of snow on top of it. That's the highest mountain in Ulster and the highest mountain in the Mournes. Fantastic loch. You can see the Mourne wall too, sweeping away over Slieve Commodore to its left. Fantastic. This is the Mourne wall. That's for 22 miles right round. That was built between 1904 and 1922.
Wow, and what was the reason for that now?
It was to enclose the water catchment area of the Silent Valley Reservoir, and Belfast Water Companies mark their land, their territory out.
Wow, kind of like Hadrian's Wall, is it?
A wee bit like Hadrian's Wall, I suppose, yeah.
Peter has been taking tourists into the Mountains of Mourne for many years and is an expert local guide. And Peter, do you cater for all age groups on your walks?
Yes, we cater for everyone. We've had people on our walks from the age of 7 to 70, believe it or not, and over 70. And a couple of people in their 70s were local people and had never actually been into the heart of the Mournes and were amazed by what's on their doorstep, you know. People travel all over the world, and then when you get them up here, they're just totally amazed by the scenery and the history, and it's just a place you can come and relax and enjoy the whole atmosphere of the place, you know. It's fantastic.
So I've had the most terrific day today. Left Belfast this morning, did gorgeous walks on the Mountains of Mourne, had a beautiful seafood lunch in Mourne Seafood Restaurant, and now I'm arriving here in the majestic Slieve Donard Hotel, where I'm going to spend a night and pamper myself in the gorgeous spa. Before I checked into the lovely Slieve Donard Hotel, I met Kieran Murta, the Deputy General Manager. Can you tell us a little bit about the history, Kieran?
Yes, indeed. Well, coincidentally now it has just been awarded by Golfers Digest golf course, #1 golf course in the world, which is fantastic for both us and Royal County Down. But yes, the Irish Open Week was a huge week for us here, and it was an extremely difficult week in terms of weather, as I think anybody who watched the golf saw, but I think we all coped very well. Some of the golfers at times I think weren't so sure. I think those guys are used to playing in different conditions, so certainly very testing golf course, and the weather certainly tested them as well. But yes, the hotel we were the official hotel, and fantastic to have. We really enjoyed looking after them, and certainly the feedback we got from all concerned was very positive.
The Slieve Donard Hotel is a fantastic place to relax and unwind from today's hectic pace, and this morning I was off, just a 30-minute journey away to the heady heights of Belfast. So I've just had a fantastic tour of Belfast's Crumlin Road Jail. Amazing history here. Now I'm heading off to meet Billy Scott to do the fantastic and iconic Belfast Black Taxi Tour. Hey Billy, how are you? Lovely to see you again.
They let you out.
They did indeed, yeah.
It wasn't for good behaviour.
Great tour.
See, these are the peace walls. But what we're attempting to do here, instead of building walls in these areas, is build shopping centres and industrial units like in the left-hand side, because the employment laws dictate anybody employing 11 or more employees, your workforce has to be representative of the community. So if you build a shopping centre industrial unit like in the left there, your workforce has to be 50% Protestant, 50% Catholic. It's called positive discrimination. So we can get people to work together, to shop together and socialise together. Then you can start breaking down the mental barriers and then pulling down the physical barriers between both sides of the community. This is the piece where the interface between the Protestant Shankill and the Catholic Falls Road. This is where the violence erupted in. So the area was demolished in the 70s and they put these walls up to separate the two sides of the community. Now what we encourage you to do here, Ed, is leave a message in the wall. Now, okay?
Very good.
Now, we know you're a journalist, so we're expecting big things off you, okay? Something deep and meaningful.
Tourists flock to see the famous peace walls here in Belfast. They give you a real sense of the separation that once existed in the city. Don't forget to bring along a marker to sign your name.
But anytime you come back to our house, we'll give you a good traditional Irish meal. Tripe and onions.
Oh yeah, well, very famous in Cork, tripe and onions.
Are you a fan of tripe?
From the English market. I think the Queen had it when she visited a few years ago.
Well, a pint of Guinness.
Aye. Belfast, of course, is famous for many things, but the ship Titanic must be top of the list. I'm now going in to meet Ellen Fitzsimons, who's the visitor centre crew for Titanic Belfast, and I'm going to have a tour to learn all about the history of this famous ship. Incredibly, the Titanic Centre here took 3 years to build, the same amount of time that it took to build Titanic. And Titanic Belfast has had 2.7 million visitors across its doors since it opened.
This is a replica of one of the first-class cabins on board Titanic. Now, first-class cabins would have cost up to about £800, and that's about £77,000 in today's money. Could you imagine spending £77,000 on a one-way ticket towards America? Titanic was built here in Belfast. She was sold on to White Star Line and they were based in Liverpool. Now, from Belfast, she made her way over to Southampton, to Cherbourg in France, and over to Cove in the south of Ireland. And if we follow that line on round, it breaks up and it shows you where Titanic sank. Now, Ed, this is pretty cool. Now, the outside of our building, from the ground right up to the top of those spikes, that is 90 feet. And that's the same height Titanic was from keel to promenade deck, from the bottom of the ship to the top. She was absolutely massive.
Belfast has become one of Europe's top spots for nightlife and concerts, and I'm heading off this evening to the Cathedral Quarter to explore some of that famous nightlife. A better way to finish a nice day of sightseeing in Belfast than with a few nice cocktails. I'm here in the bar at the Fitzwilliam Hotel with master mixologist Sean McElroy, and Sean is going to make me a few of his signature cocktails. Don't be shy now, Sean.
No, I'll not be
Mother's milk. Belfast is well renowned for its lively pub and club scene, and you can keep the crack going well into the night in some of Belfast's finest bars. There's stand-up comedy, live music, indie gigs, and you just can't come to Belfast without a trip down to the local Cathedral Quarter. The Cathedral Quarter is home to a bustling culture and art scene. cosy pubs, underground music venues, and there's a host of contemporary restaurants to suit all tastes. The Belfast of today is in many ways a brand new city. It has pulled off a remarkable transformation. The old shipyards on the Lagan can now give way to luxury apartments of the Titanic Quarter. Well, I've just had a wonderful journey around Northern Ireland. I never thought that there were such treasures right on our doorstep. Northern Ireland has really embraced the miracle of peace, and today is one of the most welcoming and friendliest places you'll ever visit. If you've never been north, now's the time to go. Happy travels.